U.S. immigration agent killed reportedly with a gun purchased in the United States. The White House wants the alleged killer tried in the U.S. Appearing on Capitol Hill, the Homeland Security Secretary reassured lawmakers that would be the case.
Is it the administration's position that we will be seeking extradition into the United States? That's very good news.
Mexico wants assurances the U.S. would not seek the death penalty if the suspect is convicted. But the White House acknowledges it shares responsibility for the wider drug problem.
I reiterated that the United States accepts our shared responsibility for the drug violence.
The U.S. acknowledgement of its role in the cross-border drug problem is being viewed as a step forward.
The question is, are they doing enough to reduce consumption? Are they doing enough to stop the trafficking of weapons?
The U.S. is giving Mexico more than $1 billion a year to help them fight the drug cartels. Washington hopes this will help turn down the temperature in its often heated relationship with an ambivalent neighbor. Kimberly Helkett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Now here's a story of a modern medical miracle. Doctors in Britain have brought a stillborn baby girl back to life by cooling her brain. Ella Claxton was starved of oxygen at birth, but the treatment has given her a second chance of a healthy life. Paul Brennan explains.
9-month-old Ella Claxton plays happily with her mother with no visible ill effects from what was a traumatic birth. Her mother's placenta had ruptured. It took doctors 25 minutes to get Ella's heart beating. And even then, it looked like the baby would be left brain damaged. Ella, they decided, would have to go to a specialist unit 50 kilometres away in Cambridge.
I didn't know what was going to happen, and they explained about this cooling treatment, that they were going to wrap her up and she was going to be cooled for 72 hours, and we didn't know what the outcomes were going to be, but it was a matter of taking time by time, bit by bit.
Ella's body temperature was cooled from 37 degrees to just 33.5 degrees. After 72 hours, her temperature was carefully brought back to normal. The brain damage, which would have been inevitable, had been prevented. The technique was finally passed as safe by the UK's clinical watchdog in May last year, after years of dedicated research by this man and his colleagues at Imperial College London.
About 20 years of experimental studies led on to the clinical trials, which completed in about 2007. And since then, cooling has been introduced widely. Over 1,700 babies have benefited from cooling in the United Kingdom. And the chances of of surviving without any brain injury have been increased by about 50% with this treatment.
And the news is spreading rapidly. The work pioneered by the researchers here at Imperial College's Medical Sciences Centre involved cases from the UK, Hungary, Sweden, Finland and even Israel. But the benefits are now being felt worldwide, as far afield as America and Australia. Inevitably, more research is always needed. The UK remains the only country with a national register of babies treated this way. Keeping track of the future development of children like Ella Claxton will be crucial in further understanding the brain's ability to heal. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera, London.
Thank you.
This is Al Jazeera, and these are the stories making the headlines. More fighting in Libya as government opponents in Brega say they are in control of the town despite continuing air raids. The area has been under attack from forces loyal to the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi for 2 days. And the U.S. president has his strongest words yet for Libya's leader. Barack Obama warned Muammar Gaddafi his time was up.
The violence must stop. Muammar Gaddafi has lost legitimacy to lead, and he must leave. Those who perpetrate violence against the Libyan people will be held accountable. And the aspirations of the Libyan people for freedom, democracy, and dignity must be met.
Muammar Gaddafi and his allies have also been warned they risk becoming war crime suspects. The International Criminal Court has announced a full investigation into alleged human rights violations in Libya. 6 women have been killed in Côte d'Ivoire during a rally for Alassane Ouattara, the internationally recognized winner of November's elections. Witnesses say security forces loyal to President Laurent Gbagbo gunned the women down in a northern district of Abidjan. There have been reports of violent clashes between Sunnis and Shias in Bahrain. Youths armed with sticks and batons charged at each other on the streets of Hamad. It's the first time the two sides have openly clashed since pro-reform protests started in the country 2 weeks ago. This comes as opposition groups say they are ready to talk to the government. Tunisia's interim president has called on election on July 24th to appoint a group to rewrite the constitution. But that means Fouad Mebaza will stay in power beyond his March 15th deadline. The military council in Egypt has appointed a new prime minister. Essam Sharaf will take over from Ahmed Shafiq, who resigned on Thursday. Sharaf, a former transport minister, has been asked to form a government. At least 9 people have been killed in a suicide attack at a police station in northwestern Pakistan. Officials say a lorry carrying explosives rammed into a security checkpoint in the town of Hangu. Around 30 others were wounded. The blast was so powerful, houses and shops in the area collapsed. Well, those are the headlines. The news will continue here in AlJazeera after People and Power. It's been good to have you with us. You can always get more news on our website.
Hello everyone, this is People and Power and I'm Summer El-Shahat. On today's program, building Egypt's future.
محتاجين نكمل الضغط لأن النظام في مصر لسه لم يسقط، يعني النظام في مصر لسه موجود. رجال الأعمال لسه موجودين وليهم أذرع في الأحياء وفي المناطق.
A fortnight ago, we showed you a film that we shot exclusively and behind the scenes with young activists from Egypt's April 6th movement. They were among the key players in the uprising that brought down Hosni Mubarak. So how have they fared in the weeks since? Though the news of the president's resignation was greeted with wild jubilation by the mass crowds in Tahrir Square, the revolution itself is far from over. A military council now runs the country, and many of the political and economic conditions that led to the revolt are still in place. The challenge facing the activists and the pro-democracy movement in general is how to build on their gains and secure real and lasting change. But as reporter Elizabeth Jones found out, the cold reality of the morning after is that there's still much to do.
February the 11th, the night Hosni Mubarak fell.
ضحكت من قلبي عمري ما ضحكت بالطريقة ديت. فضلنا نهزر وطول الليل ما احناش مصدقين ان الثورة بجد نجحت.
احنا كنا عارفين القرار من قبلها بيوم، كنا الجيش مبلغنا بان مبارك هيتنحى قبلها بيوم، لكن كان الفرحة الحقيقية لما لقينا الناس بتفرح وبتضحك، هي ده كان الفرحة الحقيقية دي.
At that moment it was the happiest moment of my life. I kept screaming and yelling and couldn't keep myself, and I went to Tahrir Square right away. But I realized that it was not the end. It was just the beginning.
It's Thursday, February 17th, nearly a week after Mubarak left Cairo. A new era for Egypt means a new home for the April 6th youth movement, whose Facebook campaign helped launch the revolution. This dilapidated building, far from the center of Cairo, has been donated